Imagine walking down the laundry aisle at your local grocery store. You are confronted by a massive, colorful wall of plastic jugs, cardboard boxes, and brightly colored pods. The prices are all over the place. One jug costs $8, while another one right next to it, matching it exactly in size, costs $25. Then you notice the fine print, for top-loading machines only. Front-loader compatible, or a tiny circle with the letters HE stamped on the corner. Is this all just a massive marketing scam designed to make you buy 3 different products for the exact same chore? What actually happens if you pour the cheap top-loading soap into a brand new, high-tech front-loading machine? Will it explode, or will nothing happen at all? And worse yet, could the very detergent you are buying to clean your clothes actually be slowly eating away at the fabrics, ruining your favorite outfits, wash after wash? Welcome back to Let Sal Explain. Today, we are breaking down the invisible, cutthroat world of laundry chemistry. By the end of this audio guide, you will know exactly how detergent works at a molecular level, the profound chemical differences between top-load and front-load formulas, what to look for on a label to avoid getting ripped off, and why cheap detergents might be costing you a fortune in ruined wardrobe pieces. Let's dive straight into the science of the spin cycle. Before we can understand why different machines need different soaps, we have to look at the basic science of cleaning. Why can't we just wash our clothes with plain water? The answer lies in the molecular structure of dirt. Most of the grime on our clothes consists of oils, sweat, sebum from our skin, and grease from the food we drop. Water molecules are polar, meaning they have a slight electrical charge. Oils and greases are nonpolar. Because opposites do not attract in chemistry, water and oil do not mix. If you wash greasy clothes in plain water, the water will simply glide right over the stains without grabbing them. This is where laundry detergent steps in, utilizing a brilliant class of chemical compounds known as surfactants. The word surfactant is short for surface active agent. Think of a surfactant molecule as a tiny chemical matchstick. It has a distinct head and a long tail, and each side has a completely opposite personality. The head of the surfactant molecule is hydrophilic, which literally translates from Greek to mean water-loving. It wants nothing more than to bond with water molecules. The long tail of the molecule is hydrophobic, meaning water-hating. It is absolutely repelled by water, but it is highly lipophilic, meaning it loves oil and fat. When you drop detergent into a washing machine filled with dirty clothes, a molecular tug-of-war begins. The hydrophobic tails of millions of surfactant molecules dive headfirst into the greasy stains on your shirts and jeans, burying themselves in the oil to hide from the water. Meanwhile, their water-loving heads remain sticking out, bobbing around in the water. As the washing machine moves, the water pulls on the hydrophilic heads. Because the heads are bonded to the water and the tails are anchored inside the grease, the mechanical motion of the machine physically tears the grease stain off the fabric. The surfactants then surround the tiny droplets of lifted grease, forming microscopic spheres called micelles. The oil is trapped inside the sphere, completely shielded by the water-loving heads on the outside. This keeps the dirt suspended in the water so it can be flushed down the drain during the rinse cycle, rather than settling back onto your clean clothes. Now that we know how surfactants work, we have to look at how different washing machines behave, because the machine dictates the chemistry. Top-loading washing machines are the traditional workhorses of the laundry world. In a standard top-loader, the drum is completely filled with a massive volume of water, submerging your clothes entirely. At the center of the drum sits a vertical post called an agitator, or a flat disc at the bottom called an impeller. These mechanisms twist, turn, and violently shake the clothes through the deep pool of water. This mechanical action is highly aggressive, relying on a lot of water and forceful motion to loosen dirt. Front-loading washing machines, which dominate modern, energy-efficient homes, operate on a completely opposite principle. A front-loader does not submerge your clothes. Instead, it uses a horizontal drum that fills with just a tiny, shallow puddle of water at the very bottom. The drum rotates, lifting the clothes up to the top of the machine and allowing gravity to drop them back down into the puddle. This is called a tumbling action. It mimics the old-fashioned method of beating clothes against rocks by a riverbank. Because front loaders rely on gravity and tumbling rather than submerging and shaking, they use up to 70% less water and 50% less energy than traditional top loaders. But this drastic reduction in water volume created a catastrophic problem for chemical engineers, giving birth to 2 entirely different types of detergent. The absolute biggest difference between top-loading detergent and front-loading detergent comes down to a single phenomenon: foam and suds. In a traditional top-loading machine, the presence of a massive amount of soapy foam is not an issue. In fact, it is historically encouraged. Top-loading detergents are formulated primarily with anionic surfactants. These are surfactants where the water-loving head carries a negative electrical charge. Examples include chemicals like sodium lauryl sulfate or linear alkyl benzene sulfonate. When these negatively charged molecules are vigorously shaken in a deep pool of water, they naturally repel one another, trapping air and creating a thick, rich, stable layer of bubbles. In a top loader, this foam helps keep the lifted dirt floating at the top of the water level. However, if you take that same high-sudsing, anionic top-loading detergent and pour it into a front-loading machine, you invite disaster. Because a front loader uses very little water and constantly tumbles the clothes, it acts like a massive culinary whisk. It will rapidly whip that top-loading soap into an uncontrollable, overflowing wall of foam. In the appliance industry, this nightmare scenario is known as a Suds lock. When a front loader experiences a Suds lock, the entire drum fills with microscopic air bubbles. This foam creates a literal cushion between the garments. Instead of the clothes being lifted to the top of the drum and dropping hard into the water to scrub against each other, the clothes simply slide softly around on a blanket of foam. The mechanical cleaning action drops to zero. Even worse, the excess foam can easily overflow the drum, backing up into the machine's internal plumbing, blowing out the water pumps, damaging the delicate electronic sensors, and leaking all over your laundry room floor. To solve this, chemical engineers created high-efficiency, or HE detergent, which is strictly mandatory for front-loading machines. The chemical profile of an HE front-loading detergent is fundamentally different in two major ways. First, instead of using highly reactive anionic surfactants, front-load detergents rely heavily on non-ionic surfactants, such as alcohol ethoxylates. These molecules carry no electrical charge. They are masterfully engineered to break the surface tension of water and strip away grease just as effectively as their anionic cousins. But their neutral molecular structure makes them inherently resistant to creating foam, no matter how violently they are tumbled. Second, front-load detergents are packed with specific chemical dampeners known as anti-foaming agents or Sud suppressors. The most common among these are silicone-based compounds, such as polydimethylsiloxane, as well as specialized fatty acids and paraffin waxes. On a microscopic level, these silicone droplets actively seek out the thin walls of any accidental soap bubbles that manage to form. The silicone disrupts the local surface tension of the bubble wall, causing it to instantly burst and pop before a mountain of foam can stabilize. Furthermore, because front loaders use so little water, the dirty water in the machine becomes an incredibly dense, concentrated soup of lifted filth. If that dirt isn't managed chemically, it will instantly redeposit itself right back onto the fabrics, turning white clothes a dingy gray color. Therefore, front-loading detergents are packed with advanced anti-redeposition polymers, like polycarboxylates or carboxymethyl cellulose. These polymers carry a specialized charge that coats the lifted dirt particles, making them chemically allergic to the fabric fibers, forcing them to remain suspended in that tiny puddle of water until the machine drains. To summarize the chemical rule, front-load detergents are highly concentrated, low-sudsing formulas, dense with silicone defoamers and anti-redeposition polymers. Top-load detergents are higher, sudsing formulas designed to be heavily diluted in massive volumes of water. This brings us to the next massive question every consumer faces. Why does one jug of soap cost 3 times more than another? Is it just branding, or is there a genuine chemical justification? The reality is that the laundry detergent market is fiercely divided by the cost of its raw chemical ingredients. When you buy a cheap, budget-friendly detergent, you are essentially buying a basic jug of water, simple anionic surfactants, and salt. Cheap brands use sodium chloride or sodium sulfate as thickening agents to make the liquid feel thick and premium, giving you the illusion of quality. They also include heavy, overpowering artificial fragrances and synthetic dyes. Because the budget formulas lack advanced cleaning chemicals, they rely on a strong perfume to mask the fact that your clothes aren't truly clean under the surface, they just smell clean. When you pay a premium price for a high-end detergent, you are paying for an elite suite of biochemical engineering, most notably, stain-specific enzymes. Human stains are complex. A basic surfactant can lift surface oils, but it cannot break apart stubborn organic molecules that chemically bind themselves to fabric fibers. Premium detergents contain living cocktail arrays of enzymes, which are biological catalysts that eat away specific stains like tiny chemical Pac-Men. A premium bottle will contain protease, an enzyme specifically engineered to break down proteins, targeting blood, grass, meat juices, and baby formula. It will contain amylase, which targets starches and carbohydrates, dissolving hidden stains from pasta sauces, gravy, and chocolate. It will feature lipase, which aggressively breaks down lipids, dismantling stubborn oily stains like motor grease, butter, and cosmetic makeup. It may also contain cellulase, a fascinating enzyme that doesn't target stains at all, but rather targets the fabric itself. As cotton clothes are worn and washed, the microscopic fibers break and create tiny, fuzzy loose ends called microfibrils. These microfibrils trap dirt, making the fabric look dull, faded, and pilled. Cellulase gently snips off these microscopic fuzzballs, smoothing out the fabric surface, restoring the shirt's original vibrant color, and making it feel soft again. Cheap detergents almost completely omit these enzymes because they are incredibly expensive to cultivate and stabilize in a liquid solution over a long shelf life. Without enzymes, a budget soap will never be able to remove a deep, dried-in protein or starch stain, no matter how many times you run it through the wash. While detergent is meant to preserve your wardrobe, using the wrong formula or a poorly engineered budget soap can actively destroy your clothing. The first way clothes are ruined is through chemical degradation caused by a high pH level. Cheap detergents are often highly alkaline, boasting a very high pH to force dirt out of fabrics cheaply. While rugged synthetic fibers like polyester can tolerate high alkalinity, natural luxury protein fibers like wool, silk, and cashmere will be completely dismantled by it. These natural fibers are held together by delicate amino acid chains. A harsh, highly alkaline, enzyme-free budget detergent will physically attack those bonds, causing wool to shrink, stiffen, and become brittle, while causing silk to lose its natural sheen and tear effortlessly. The second method of destruction is fabric abrasion caused by undissolved fillers. To keep manufacturing costs low, many budget powder detergents use cheap, insoluble mineral fillers like sodium sulfate or low-grade zeolites. These minerals do not dissolve completely in water, especially in cold cycles. They act like microscopic liquid sandpaper. As your clothes spin and rub against each other thousands of times during a wash, these sharp mineral particles grind against the fabric threads, tearing the microscopic fibers, causing premature fraying, thinning the cloth, and inducing severe piling. The third threat is the insidious trap of detergent residue buildup, which happens heavily when consumers use regular top-loading soap inside a front-loading machine. Because the front loader doesn't have enough water to properly rinse away a high sudsing formula, a slimy layer of unrinsed surfactant and trapped body oil remains cooked into the fabric fibers. Over time, this residue undergoes chemical oxidation when exposed to air and body heat. It locks in bacteria, causing a clean garment to suddenly stink the moment you start sweating in it. This buildup also creates a stiff, crusty texture that accelerates the snapping of elastic fibers in underwear, sportswear, and denim, completely ruining their fit and stretch permanently. Now that we have stripped away the marketing fluff and laid bare the chemistry, let's establish a strict, foolproof guide on how to navigate the laundry aisle as an educated consumer. Rule number 1. Match your soap to your machine's mechanical action, not its orientation. If you own a front-loading machine, you must buy a detergent displaying the HE symbol. There are no exceptions to this rule. If you own a modern high-efficiency top-loading machine that uses an impeller disc and a lower water level, you also need HE detergent. You can safely use an HE front-loading detergent inside an old-fashioned deep-water top-loader. It will clean perfectly fine, though you won't see many bubbles. However, you must never use a non-HE top-loading detergent inside a front-loader or a high-efficiency top-loader. Rule number 2. Read the back label for enzymes, not marketing buzzwords. Ignore front panel phrases like ultra clean, pro formula, or triple action. Turn the jug around and look at the ingredient list. If you see terms like protease, amylase, and lipase, you're holding a high-grade chemical tool capable of removing tough organic stains. If the label only lists generic anionic surfactants, fragrances, and preservatives, you are looking at a basic soap that should only be used for lightly soiled everyday clothes. Rule number 3. Pick the right medium for the right job. Powder detergents are highly stable and excel at removing heavy mud, clay, and outdoor dirt, making them great for work clothes or sports gear. However, they struggle to dissolve in cold water. Liquid detergents are already dissolved, making them ideal for cold water washing, quick cycles, and treating greasy food stains directly as a pre-treater. Pods and packs are incredibly convenient and contain highly concentrated premium chemistry, but they completely strip away your control. You cannot adjust the dosage for a tiny load or a massive load, often leading to severe over-soaping in small cycles, which leaves behind that destructive fabric residue we discussed earlier. At the end of the day, laundry isn't just a mindless household chore. It is a delicate balancing act of surface chemistry, fluid dynamics, and fabric care. The differences between top-load and front-load detergents are real, critical, and grounded in structural necessity. Buying the cheapest option might save you $10 at the cash register today, but it could cost you hundreds of dollars tomorrow in worn-out, faded, and structurally weakened clothing. Be smart with your chemistry, protect your fabrics, and always read the fine print on the label. Thank you for tuning in to Let Sal Explain. If this deep dive helped demystify your grocery store run, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, keep your clothes clean and your chemistry precise.